Thank you so much. Um, it's a great pleasure to be here to talk to you about the giraffes. And specifically, I'll talk about the Somali giraffe. In across the globe, climate change and habitat loss are combining to push many species into the brink of extinction. And there's nowhere else I can think of that this is more pronounced than northeastern Kenya. And that's my home area. That's where I was born. And today, I'll tell you a story that has never been told before. You've learned about human-wildlife conflict. And in particular, you've heard of elephants-human conflict. You've learned about lion-human conflict. But I'm sure many of you have not heard of giraffes-human conflict. This is quite common in northeastern Kenya, where we have the Somali giraffe. What you're seeing in this slide is a giraffe that's pulling a fence post, a farm post, with a snare right on its hind leg. And this happens almost on a daily basis. But we will get to the details of this conflict. But before that, I tell you about this region. This is a region in northeast of Kenya. It's about the size of Mississippi. Very vast area, 120,000 square kilometers. And in this particular area of Kenya, lacks formal government protected areas. That is national parks and reserves. But has a very diverse and unique wildlife, including the giraffes and the world's most endangered antelope called the Hirola that occurs nowhere else on Earth except a small portion of this region. It occurs in one particular county. But in this talk, I'll focus on giraffes. So here, the local communities in this region are the Somalis, which are predominant community in the entire Horn of Africa. They occupy from Djibouti to southern Kenya, Ethiopia, eastern Ethiopia, Somalia, all that is occupied by the Somali community. And they are pastoralists, so they keep camels, goats, and sheep. And the area is very dry with limited resources, so they move a lot from one point to another throughout the year. And rainfall is very variable. All the droughts, the climate change, the impact is very pronounced here. As you see that they use the camel as the main means of transport. And it's a very dry area. But giraffes co-occur and coexist with these communities. But across Africa, giraffes are declining. In fact, there are 4 times more elephants in the wild than giraffes are. Less than 100,000 of them exist in the wild. But we don't often talk about the future of giraffes. In Kenya, we have 3 subspecies of giraffes. Maasai reticulated, also called the Somali giraffes in the middle, and the Rothschild giraffe. So in this talk, I'll talk about the reticulated giraffe. So this is the range of the reticulated giraffes. That, what you see on my left, my right, is the northeastern Kenya and has 3 counties, Mandera, Wajir, and Garissa. Garissa is where I was born, and that's where I was raised, and that's where I come from. And that county has the majority of the giraffes, the reticulated giraffes. This is the biggest part of the range, yet is the most vulnerable part of the range, given that it borders close to the Somali border, of course, a volatile region that is facing a lot of civil strife and conflict. So giraffes here are facing a lot of threats from bushmeat, habitat loss, disease, and all climate change and drought, and also roadkills. Infrastructure is coming up in this region. The biggest corridor that has pipeline, road, is also being built across this region, and giraffes are being knocked down. So habitat loss is a big problem in this area. Of course, these giraffes depend on a common tree in Africa that we often see called the acacia, these big umbrella trees that you'll often find in many parts of Africa. This is like the primary tree that they feed on. But also, this tree is being used across the region for energy production, charcoal. So there are only few of them left in homesteads. So giraffes will come at night to find these trees in people's homestead because they are almost gone elsewhere. Here, what you see is a giraffe that came to feed on this tree, but in that spot was a pit latrine, that's a washroom. Typically, in most African societies, toilets are usually outside the houses, and it's a pit latrine. It's just a hole. That's where, and the giraffes fell in. So we have been called to come and take out the giraffe. As you can see, unfortunately, we were a bit late. By the time we were coming, this giraffe was already nearly going. But we did our effort and attended to this individual. Poaching is a big problem. People use this crude weapon to take down giraffes. And there are two main reasons why they do, basically for food and also for cross-border bushmeat trade. They take down giraffes from the border region in northeastern Kenya and take it all the way to Somalia to get supplies of cheap sugar, milk powder, and other essential goods in exchange for meat. This is a giraffe meat we caught recently. It's, of course, sun-dried. They're sun-drying it. Luckily, we got these poachers. It's illegal to kill giraffes in Kenya. So we got these poachers arrested and prosecuted. In this area is also home of the famous white giraffe. It's actually our team that spotted these giraffes. But after monitoring for a while, we also lost them to poachers, meaning that people are really persecuting giraffes. There's these 1 or 2 last individuals of white giraffes that we're currently monitoring in this region that we are keeping 24-hour security on them, and they occur here as well. So in this particular region, we only have one permanent river called the Tana River. It's Kenya's longest river, about 1,000 kilometers, that marks the western boundary of the giraffes' geographical range. So here, because of climate change, a lot of Somalis have changed culture from pastoralism to sedentary lifestyle. So for the first time, they started practicing farming, irrigation farming. So people have moved in from the interior, from the hinterlands to settle along the river to start farming, blocking all the water points and corridors for the giraffes and other animals. So this is the same river, and adjacent to that is a giraffe sanctuary that we have. So the main crop that people grow here is mangoes. And these mangoes take about 4 years to mature. So if you have lost your animals, your livestock, and you are dependent on these mangoes, they will take about 4 years to mature for you to harvest and take your produce to the market. They also grow bananas, and these are mango fruits. Surprisingly, the giraffes that also lost habitat and the acacias that are gone have targeted directly these mango flowers. They go after them regardless of the threat. So in the morning, a farmer will witness this after waiting for 4 years. And it has become a real pain, economic pain, to the farmers. So this is the mango fruit. So they developed various means to stop the giraffes, including this artificial plastic, these are water bottles. So people try all kind of techniques to stop the giraffes from invading their farms. With torches at night, people hanging torches just to protect their farms from giraffes. These are scarecrows they're also using to protect. This is a camel bell. One of the camel pictures I've shown had that bell. So it makes a bit of noise. It's usually for you to follow your camel if you lose them to the bush. So they put it in the front of their farms to deter giraffes at night. But subsequently, or consequently, people have tried much more lethal ideas to stop giraffes from entering the farms by setting up snares. And we're seeing a lot of these giraffes with the snares from the farms, they're directly targeting to kill them. As you can see, this is a wire that goes straight into the leg of the animal. And with time, it really goes tight and the animal can't move. And there are quite many. From the neck, you can see they're also setting up. So we really have to work hard and others slice the giraffe with a machete just to deter them from the farms. But these giraffes are also so motivated to get their food. So unfortunately, the vets, for us to remove this wire, we need to work with veterinarians. That area or that part of Kenya is the most marginalized part of Kenya. People have not gone to school. It's the least developed because of the closeness to the Somali border. And for us to access veterinary service, they're about 300 miles away from where we are. So once we see this, we have to report to Kenya Wildlife Service, get access, send the details of this to get help of vets to come. So we have been working that way to understand, to help these giraffes. But also we want to understand the conflict, the causes. So we talk to the communities, understand why this is happening or how we could develop coexistence. So from that assessment, people say competition for water and lack of awareness and human encroachment, people blocking the corridors, are the main drivers of this conflict. So in an effort to minimize the impact of this conflict, we work with rangers and monitor these areas to help us prevent some of these conflicts. And we also monitor with camera traps and other techniques. More recently, we tagged 30 giraffes in these areas. We used solar-powered device, just put the tail of the giraffe. Giraffe tail is like our hand. It has a hump at the end, so it's like a watch. We can just put a watch there and give us movement data for us to understand how they utilize the landscape and how they interact with farmers. So this is a movement of some individuals, and this is the wet season, dry season. So you can see they just hang by the river during the dry season. And during the wet season, once there's rain and more food out there, they foray into the outer parts, giving the farmers a bit of peace. But for them to do that, they have to cross infrastructure that's coming up also in that area, and giraffes are knocked down. So we have been working also to raise awareness on roadkills in that area, and we have a road safety week every month where we work with young motorists who are owners of vehicles for the first time to share the plight of giraffes, that they have to cross the road and then understand also hotspots where these roadkills are happening. In addition, we're also working with school children to raise awareness and share about the plight of giraffes. Most of their parents are the farmers. So we are talking also to these kids to share information with their parents on the future of giraffes and why we have to coexist. We also partnered with about 10 schools to start a restoration program in which we are planting those trees that are bringing in giraffes to the homes of people. In addition, we've also partnered with farmers where we are training them and creating awareness on crops, the right crops that they can grow, and how we could develop agrotourism, where we could take visitors to their farms and get some money with the hope that they can also tolerate giraffes when they come. So to also cushion from the invasions, we also piloted supplementary feedings of giraffes in this area. What you're seeing here is acacia pods from the tree that I showed you, and giraffes love them. They really like them. So we buy these from local women groups who just harvest from the indigenous trees, and we provide this with the giraffes. And this is how they look, and the giraffes really enjoy. They like it. So we are doing this to see if we give them food, if their farm visits will also reduce the giraffes' farm visits and farm invasions. This is one trough that we built, and the giraffes, line up and come and stay there. In addition, we've also built water troughs across strategic areas to see if we can stop the giraffes from also invading farms. And we piloted also different kind of troughs and in different community areas. But more importantly, recently we started a nature-based livelihood program in which we've identified 20 farmers to connect them directly with companies in big cities, in Nairobi and elsewhere, to buy the produce directly. One of the produce is lime that giraffes don't eat, has more value, and farmers, we're encouraging farmers to replace them with mangoes as we try to understand how we could transform this conflict into coexistence. So we started with 20 farmers, But our goal is to scale up this enterprise to reach about 2,000 farmers by 2025, where we set up an aggregation center and farmers could bring their produce, they form a cooperative, and then they can directly sell to these big companies that we invited and also partnered with. We are hoping that this will eventually reduce the conflict and people will grow less mangoes. And mostly it's it's women that are leading this initiative. And we are also providing the seedlings to them. This is 2,000 seedlings that we distributed to farmers, and they are directly planting this and doing less and less mangoes in an effort that this will minimize that conflict. We're also working with rangers across these areas, community rangers that we have recruited from local communities to help us address the conflict. This is the World Rangers Day that we celebrated, and also we're focusing a lot more on women who are part of the farming groups that are really active also in that area. And we are working with them to talk to their families about the safety of giraffes alongside the farmers' livelihoods. At the end, this is sort of our Starbucks when we finish the work after a day long. This is one of our favorite spots where we refresh before we go back to the wild. Our goal is to have sustainable farming alongside thriving giraffe population by transforming the conflict in the near future. Thank you.